Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt like you didn't belong? Or maybe there was someone else who walked in and everyone just seemed to turn their attention to them. They didn't even say a word, but you could feel the respect pouring out from everyone around them. It makes you wonder, why do some people seem to command respect naturally, while others struggle despite their best efforts? Let me share something with you. I knew a guy once who was always trying to be liked. He'd do anything to fit in, be the first to agree, the first to laugh, always giving in to everyone else's demands. But despite his best efforts, respect just seemed to slip right through his fingers. The more he tried to please everyone, the less people seemed to respect him. It wasn't because he was a bad person. No, it was because he was making a mistake that many people make without realizing it. You see, there's a powerful lesson here. Respect isn't automatic. It's earned, and it's shaped by the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to challenges, and the way you maintain your personal boundaries. The biggest issue, though, is that many of us don't know the small things we're doing that actually push respect away. And this is where Stoicism can completely change the game for you. Stoicism isn't just about sitting quietly and thinking deep thoughts. It's about understanding human nature, managing your emotions, and mastering your reactions. It's about becoming the kind of person that naturally earns respect without even asking for it. Before we go any further, though, I want you to do something. If you're ready to start transforming your mindset and learning how to truly gain respect, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on future videos that can help you build a life of integrity, power, and respect. All right, now that we're on the same page, let's talk about the mistakes that are quietly robbing you of the respect you deserve. I'll share some real insights here so you can start recognizing them in your own life and begin making the changes that will get you the respect you've been missing all along. So, why do people lose respect? Let's break it down. Let's get real for a moment. A lot of people walk around thinking that respect is something they deserve just because they're decent, kind, or polite. But here's the harsh truth. Respect isn't something you're automatically handed because you're a good person. It's not a free pass simply for existing in a space. The truth is, respect is earned, not just given away. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who's super nice, yet they never seem to get the respect they deserve? And on the flip side, you might have encountered someone who doesn't even try that hard, but they still command attention and authority without even saying a word. What gives? Why is it that some people seem to automatically get the respect of those around them, while others struggle even when they're genuinely trying to be likable? The thing is, people don't respect you just because you're friendly or agreeable. Respect is tied to your strength, your discipline, and how you carry yourself, not just how nice you are. Sure, kindness matters, but it's not the deciding factor. The way you react under pressure, how you hold yourself when things aren't going right, and whether you have the discipline to stick to your values are what really earn you respect. Now, let's talk about the psychology behind it. People make snap judgments. First impressions are made in seconds. A person's body language, the way they speak, even the way they enter a room, it all counts. And once someone has formed an impression of you, it's hard to change that perception. We all know this. We've all been in situations where we instantly like or dislike someone based on our gut feeling, right? This happens all the time. People look at you and, in the first few moments, they decide if you're someone they should take seriously or someone who just blends into the background. It's all about the signals you give off. If you walk into a room, slouching, mumbling, and looking unsure of yourself, the people around you aren't going to respect you. They might be polite to you, but they're not going to see you as someone worthy of their admiration or trust. On the other hand, if you stand tall, speak clearly, and maintain eye contact, you instantly convey strength and confidence. Those who radiate confidence, whether through their words or their actions, command respect naturally. And this is where the Stoic mindset comes into play. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. The Roman emperor wasn't known for being excessively kind or warm. No, what made him respected was his inner strength, his self-discipline, and his ability to lead with integrity, especially when things were tough. When Marcus faced challenges, whether they were political, personal, or military, he didn't crumble. He didn't whine or look for sympathy. Instead, he stood firm, reflecting on the Stoic teachings of inner peace and resilience. His power didn't come from making people like him, but from maintaining respect for himself and staying true to his values, no matter what was happening around him. Here's a common mistake people make. They try too hard to be liked. This might seem like an innocent thing, wanting people to like you, but the reality is, the more you try to please others, the more respect slips away from you. Why? Because people can sense desperation. When you're constantly trying to be agreeable or avoid conflict at any cost, you stop being genuine. You start to become a people pleaser, and that's a sure way to lose the respect of others. Think about it. True respect comes when you're willing to speak your mind, stand by your beliefs, and not back down when things get uncomfortable. If you're always trying to make everyone happy, you're giving the message that your own opinions and needs don't matter, and people won't respect you for that. They'll see you as weak, as someone who doesn't have the courage to stand up for themselves. So now that we understand the truth about respect, let's move on to the next part. We're going to break down the biggest mistakes that people make every day that slowly destroy their credibility and make them lose the respect they think they deserve. So, what makes people lose respect? Let's find out. Mistake number 1, talking too much and saying too little. You've probably met someone who just can't stop talking, right? They ramble on about the tiniest details, but when it's all over, you're left thinking, what was the point of all that? People respect those who speak with purpose, who get straight to the point. But when you talk too much without saying anything meaningful, it just makes you look less credible. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Take John, a guy who worked with me. In every meeting, he would dominate the conversation, explaining every little detail, even when no one asked for it. At first, we tried to listen patiently, but over time, we just tuned him out. Why? His words didn't carry weight. They were just noise. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. Marcus Aurelius believed that self-restraint in speech is a true sign of wisdom. He once said, "Let your words be few and your actions many." When we talk too much, we often give the impression of insecurity. People start to lose interest because there's no clarity in what we're saying. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Before you speak, pause and think about what you want to say. Don't say everything that comes to your mind. Instead, say only what's necessary, meaningful, and impactful. The fewer, more deliberate words you speak, the more respect you'll earn. Mistake number 2, seeking validation from others. We all crave a little approval now and then, right? But constantly seeking validation from others is a surefire way to lose respect. The more you look for reassurance, the less seriously people will take you. Confidence comes from within, not from seeking praise or recognition from the outside world. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Imagine Sophie, a friend who constantly asks, "Do you think I did a good job?" or "What do you think about my outfit?" It wasn't long before people began to avoid answering her, not because they didn't care, but because she didn't seem to trust her own judgment. It made her look insecure, and as a result, people respected her less. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The true strength lies in not needing others' approval. When we rely too much on other people's opinions, we undermine our own power and self-worth. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Trust your own decisions. Instead of seeking constant validation, ask yourself, am I proud of what I've done? Build your confidence from within. People respect those who stand firm in their own beliefs. Mistake number 3, overreacting to everything. You've seen it, right? Someone who reacts to every little thing, whether it's a rude comment or a minor inconvenience. But here's the thing, overreacting doesn't earn you respect. In fact, it shows that you lack emotional control. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Think about Mike, who lost his cool during a team project when things didn't go his way. He raised his voice, pointed fingers, and blamed everyone else. The team didn't respect him more. They just saw him as emotionally unstable. Instead of leading, his reaction pushed people away. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. The Stoics believed in the power of emotional discipline. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." The true measure of strength is found in how calmly and rationally we handle challenges. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Take a deep breath before reacting. When you feel anger or frustration, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's the best response here? Responding with calm and reasoned thought will naturally earn you respect. Mistake number 4, constantly being available to everyone. If you're always the first to say yes or drop everything to help others, people will start to take you for granted. The truth is, scarcity breeds respect. The less accessible you are, the more people will value your time and energy. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Take Rachel, who used to say yes to every request, every favor, and every meeting. While people appreciated her kindness, they didn't value her time. They began expecting her to always be available, and soon she became the go-to person for everyone's problems. The more she said yes, the less respect she received. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, taught that time is our most precious resource. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you overextend yourself, you lower the value of your time and, in turn, lower your own worth. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Start setting boundaries. Learn to say no with respect, but without hesitation. Protect your time as you would any valuable resource. When you respect your own time, others will respect it too. Mistake number 5, complaining constantly. Nobody respects a constant complainer. Complaining about work, life, or circumstances just creates negativity, and people start to avoid your energy. Let's break it down with a real-life example. Someone you can probably relate to. Liam, a colleague, was always quick to point out the negatives. Whether it was a new project or an office change, he'd find something to complain about. Over time, it became draining to be around him. People stopped listening to his complaints, and his respect among the team dwindled. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. Marcus Aurelius focused on what he could control. He said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Complaining is a sign of focusing on what you can't control, instead of using your energy to improve what you can. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Shift your mindset from complaining to problem solving. When you feel the urge to complain, ask yourself, what can I do to make this better? Take action, and people will start respecting you for your ability to move forward with purpose. Mistake number 6, being indecisive. When you can't make decisions, or worse, you keep changing your mind, it erodes trust and respect. People look for leaders, not followers who hesitate at every step. Let's break it down with a real-life example. Someone you can probably relate to. Olivia was constantly indecisive about a project. She'd ask for everyone's opinion only to change her mind once the decision was made. The team began to lose faith in her leadership, and respect for her faded quickly. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. The Stoics valued decisiveness. Seneca said, "A man who does not know how to make decisions is like a ship without a rudder." People respect those who make decisions and stick with them. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Trust your judgment when faced with decisions. Don't wait for the perfect solution. Take action, learn from it, and adjust if needed. Confidence in your decisions builds the respect others have for you. Mistake number 7, avoiding conflict at all costs. Trying to keep the peace by avoiding conflict might seem like a good idea, but it's actually a surefire way to lose respect. People need to know that you can stand your ground when necessary. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Ethan avoided confrontation, even when his team was clearly heading in the wrong direction. He stayed quiet, never spoke up, and allowed poor decisions to happen. His silence made him seem weak, and others stopped listening to him. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. The Stoics believed in standing up for yourself. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Avoiding conflict makes you seem like you lack the courage to speak up when it matters. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Learn to express your opinions confidently, even if it leads to confrontation. Being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. Stand firm in your beliefs, and others will respect you for it. Mistake number 8, lacking self-control. The final mistake is a big one, lacking self-control. Whether it's overeating, overspending, or losing your temper, people don't respect those who can't control their impulses. Let's break it down with a real-life example, someone you can probably relate to. Chris was always giving in to his impulses. Whether it was overspending on clothes or flying off the handle over minor things, it made him seem out of control. Eventually, people stopped taking him seriously, and his lack of self-discipline cost him respect. So, what do the Stoics have to say about this? Here's the wisdom from their teachings that can help you understand the deeper lesson. The Stoics placed great emphasis on self-control. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from mastering your desires. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Here's the practical fix. Simple steps you can start applying today to make a change. Practice small acts of self-discipline every day. Avoid impulsive decisions and focus on what really matters. Self-control is the foundation of earning respect. So, how can you earn instant respect? Let's break it down. Emotional control. Why staying calm earns you authority. Imagine you're in a tense situation where things are starting to get out of hand. Maybe there's a heated argument or something's going wrong at work and everyone's looking for someone to step up. What happens if you lose your cool? You'll lose control of the situation. But if you stay calm and composed, you naturally become the person people trust and respect. What would the Stoics say about this? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, knew how to stay calm, even in the middle of chaos. Despite the wars and political turmoil around him, he remained level-headed and thoughtful. He didn't let fear or anger cloud his judgment. Instead, he led with reason and wisdom. Imagine being in Marcus's shoes, with your empire on the line, and still staying calm. That's real emotional control, and it's why people respected him so much. How can you practice emotional control? You don't need to be leading an empire to practice emotional control. The next time you feel your temper rising, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the best way to handle this calmly? The more you practice staying composed, the more respect you'll earn from others. The power of self-sufficiency, why needing less, makes you stronger. When people see that you don't need constant validation, approval, or support from others, they automatically start respecting you more. Self-sufficiency is a powerful trait because it shows that you are confident, independent, and in control of your own life. What would the Stoics say about this? Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When you depend on less, whether that's material things or emotional validation from others, you become free. And when you're free, you don't need to impress anyone. People respect you for not being easily swayed by others' opinions or external circumstances. How can you apply self-sufficiency? Start small. Try doing something for yourself without seeking approval from others. Ask yourself, do I really need someone's approval to feel good about this? The more you practice self-sufficiency, the more people will look to you as someone who is unshakable, and that's powerful. Speaking less, saying more. Why silence can command respect. Here's a simple truth. The more you talk, the less people listen. When you speak too much, you water down your message. But when you speak less, but with purpose and intent, people hang on every word. Silence, in many cases, speaks louder than words. What would the Stoics say about this? Seneca said, "Speech is the mirror of the soul. As a man speaks, so is he. If you're always talking, people might get distracted. But when you hold back and speak only when necessary, people pay attention. It shows that you're thoughtful and deliberate with your words. People respect that. How can you use silence to your advantage? Next time you're in a conversation or meeting, try listening more than speaking. When you do speak, make sure your words are meaningful and to the point. You'll notice that people start respecting you more because your words hold weight. And guess what? Silence becomes your greatest ally. Let's look at real-life examples of people who mastered this Stoic philosophy. Let's look at someone who truly understood how to command respect. When we think about respect and how it's earned, the first name that often comes to mind is Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. He wasn't just a powerful ruler. He was a person who understood the importance of leading with wisdom, self-control, and integrity. And one of the key moments where he demonstrated unshakable leadership came in how he handled criticism, a moment that we can all learn from today. Marcus Aurelius's leadership, how he handled criticism. Imagine leading an empire at war, managing political upheaval, and constantly dealing with public opinion. It's easy to see why a leader like Marcus Aurelius could have crumbled under pressure, especially when criticized. But instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, he took a Stoic approach to handling criticism. Example of his wisdom. During his reign, Marcus faced constant criticism, especially from the Senate and other political figures. Many believed that his decisions weren't in the best interest of the people, and others criticized him for not doing enough to protect the empire from various threats. But Marcus, instead of defending himself aggressively, took the criticism in stride. In his personal writings, which we now know as the Meditations, Marcus often reminded himself that people will criticize for many reasons. some justified, others not. But it's how you respond to that criticism that matters. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, he chose not to stoop to the level of those who criticized him. What we can learn from this: when we face criticism, it's natural to get defensive. But the Stoic mindset teaches us that criticism is not about us. It's about the perspective of the one offering it. By responding with calmness and understanding, we not only maintain our dignity, but we also earn the respect of others. People respect someone who can accept constructive feedback without being shaken or retaliating. Epictetus, resilience, turning adversity into strength. Another incredible example of Stoic resilience comes from Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. Despite the extreme hardships he endured, Epictetus turned adversity into strength and wisdom, a life of hardship and triumph. Epictetus was born into slavery. His owner treated him poorly, and he faced a life of physical pain and emotional hardship. But instead of letting his circumstances define him, he chose to master his emotions and responses. He understood that while he couldn't control his external circumstances, he could always control how he responded to them. What Epictetus said. One of Epictetus's most famous quotes is, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea became central to his teachings. Instead of focusing on how unfair his life was, Epictetus chose to focus on what he could control: his thoughts, actions, and mindset. What we can learn from this Epictetus's life shows us that respect is not earned by avoiding difficulty or playing the victim. It's earned by taking control of our reactions, no matter what life throws at us. He didn't allow his circumstances to define him. He defined himself by his resilience. And that's something that others naturally respect: inner strength in the face of adversity. When we go through tough times, it's easy to feel like life is out of control. But the Stoic mindset encourages us to remember that how we respond to our circumstances is what ultimately shapes our character. People respect those who can face challenges with grace and resolve, just like Epictetus did. A modern example, how someone today earns respect through Stoicism. Now let's bring this into the present. There's someone in today's world who embodies the Stoic principles of emotional control, resilience, and leadership, and that person is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, the power of forgiveness and calm leadership. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, facing severe injustice and hardship. Yet when he was finally released, he didn't let bitterness or anger define him. Instead, he used his time in prison to reflect, grow, and practice the same Stoic principles that Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught. What we can learn. After being released from prison, Mandela could have easily sought revenge on those who wronged him. But instead, he chose the Stoic path of forgiveness, calm leadership, and a focus on unity. His ability to stay emotionally controlled even after decades of oppression earned him the respect of people all around the world. One of his famous quotes is, "I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying." Mandela understood that true strength comes from moving forward with wisdom, not holding on to resentment. What we can learn. From this, Nelson Mandela's example shows us the ultimate in emotional control and resilience. Instead of letting his past define him, he defined his future with compassion, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to the greater good. People respected him because he stayed true to his values, even when it would have been easy to give in to anger or revenge. What we can take away from these examples, whether it's Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Nelson Mandela, the lessons are clear. Respect is earned by how we handle life's challenges, whether it's criticism, adversity, or the temptations to react emotionally. Emotional control allows you to stay grounded and lead with wisdom, even in the face of criticism. Resilience teaches you that how you respond to life's challenges is what defines you, not the challenges themselves. Self-sufficiency shows that true strength comes from within and isn't dependent on others' opinions or external circumstances. So, as we wrap up these examples of how Stoic principles have shaped great leaders throughout history, think about your own life. How can you apply these lessons to earn the respect you deserve? We've just covered a lot of ground on the 8 deadly mistakes that can quietly kill your respect. Think about the times when you've talked too much without saying anything meaningful, when your words were just filling space instead of delivering value. Or maybe you found yourself constantly seeking validation from others, always asking for approval rather than trusting your own judgment. Then there's the overreacting to every little thing, losing your cool when things don't go as planned, or constantly being available for everyone but neglecting your own boundaries. How about complaining non-stop about things, letting negativity take over instead of focusing on solutions? Maybe indecisiveness has held you back, not trusting yourself to make strong decisions, or even avoiding conflict at all costs, letting problems fester rather than addressing them head-on. And finally, lacking self-control, whether it's in your reactions, your spending, or your habits. This can undermine your ability to earn respect. Now here's your challenge. Pick just one of these mistakes and start applying a Stoic habit to fix it today. Maybe it's taking a breath and pausing before reacting, or learning to say no more often to protect your time. Whatever it is, the important thing is to start with one small change that will make a big difference in how people perceive you and how you respect yourself. I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you noticed most often in yourself or in others? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Let's have a conversation about how we can all become more respectful and self-aware. To leave you with one final thought. From the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, feel free to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll always stay up to date with new content on how Stoic principles can help you lead a more respectful, resilient life. No pressure, but it would be great to have you join us on this journey.